What does it even mean? Hey guys, welcome back to another video in Talking the Channel. Today I'm going to answer the question, can you really have a soft life in Africa? A lot of people would not consider moving to Africa, the continent in general, because they consider that life would be quote unquote hard in Africa in comparison to other places around the world. But the goal of this video is not to prove people wrong or to prove them right. The goal of this video is really for you to be clear on your priorities. So my priorities for moving to the continent might not be the same as your priorities for moving to the continent or anywhere else around the world. So let's be clear on your own priorities. We all know about the Blaxit movement right now, which is basically a big movement of Black people living in the US, in the UK, in the West in general, and moving to other parts of the world. So that could be in emerging countries in Latin America, on the continent in Africa, or even in Europe or in Asia. The thing is that there are different reasons and motives to move abroad. Some people want to have a slower pace of life. Some people want to move to a country where their dollar would stretch further. And some people just want to move away from a racist environment or even just to experience a new culture. I'm a little tempted to compare people who want to move to the continent with people who are moving to different parts of Asia like Japan or China, because they're moving to cultures that are really different from a typical Western culture. So the goal is not really to find the sameness like they could find in European countries like France, the UK, or even to Portugal, but it's really to be comfortable and to thrive in a culturally different environment. When you move to Sub-Saharan Africa, there are definitely some similarities with the West that you're going to encounter, but you can also get excited about the differences that you're going to experience. I actually made a video about the things in Africa that I wish we had here in the US. You can check out this video right here, and I'm also going to link it in the description below. So what does soft life really mean actually? It can mean a lot of different things. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to approach different angles through which we can see the soft life. So the first angle that I want to explore is the luxurious lifestyle. And this is something that a lot of people think about when they talk about the soft life, which is like rooftop living and being on the beach all day, you know, just having a life of luxury where you don't have a lot of responsibilities. Well, first of all, this is not a very realistic lifestyle for any of us, unless of course you are retired and you don't have to work at all. But for most of us, we still have to do some work. And even if you don't have to do any kind of work, you still have family members who depend on you, so you can just lounge on the beach all day, okay? So let's say you want a life of luxury, and can you really have that in Africa? Well, the answer is obviously yes. You can definitely have a life of luxury in Africa. And the funny thing is that a lot of things that are seen as luxuries here in the US or in the West in general are actually things that are basics back in Africa. That includes having a nanny, having a cook, having a driver, or even having a cleaning lady that comes several times a week to your house. So if this is your definition of a soft life, then yes, you can definitely have that in Africa as well. And this is one of the many reasons why we are planning a move to the continent, is because we need that support system that we don't really have here in the US. Another YouTuber who talks a lot about the luxurious lifestyle in Africa is Ashley in Africa. She talks about how she's living what could be considered a luxurious lifestyle in South Africa with her daughters. So I'm going to link her channel down below. That way you can check out her channel. She has a lot of great videos about life in Tanzania as well as life in South Africa. If soft life for you is about having a comfortable life, then yes, you can definitely have that too on the continent. That includes having AC, that includes having power, that includes having hot water, that includes having running water. All of the above, you can have that in Africa as well. Again, it depends on where you go. If you go to the village, obviously you're not gonna have that. And even in major cities, it just depends on which neighborhood you're going to. I can talk from personal experience. The time that we spent in Cote d'Ivoire last year, we never had any running water issues. We had hot water for our showers every single day. We had power all the time, and we also had AC in all the rooms of the house. So we definitely had a comfortable stay, and this is something that you can have as well when you move to the continent. The soft life for you when you move abroad is about having access to some American goods like hair products or even some cookies or some snacks that you're really used to. Then yes, in some cases you can also have access to the same things. It just depends on where you go, and it depends on how much you're willing to pay for those. I made a point to go to several supermarkets in Abidjan to have an idea of what kind of products I could find on the shelves. And yes, there are a lot of American products that you can find there as well as European products, but obviously they are a little more expensive. That's something that you can find at a local market. So yes, you can have access to your American goods if that's something that you absolutely need. If for you the soft life is all about having a peace and quiet life, then you can definitely have that on the continent as well. You can absolutely leave the farm life if that's something that you want. If you want to be away from the traffic jams and the pollution in the big cities, you can definitely leave the farm life if that's something that you are interested in. You can buy land that is more affordable than land here in the West, and you can just start growing your own food and just have that quiet, peaceful farm life that you really want. So again, it really depends on your own personal definition of a soft life. I personally wouldn't think that living in a farm is a soft life because that's just not my style. I like the city life. But if that's for you, then yes, you can definitely have a soft life, farm life, country living in Africa. I can think about 2 different YouTube channels where they actually talk about their life in Africa, living in a farm, building their own house, and all of that. The first channel is Journey With Us. It's a family of Americans who is actually in Tanzania, if I'm not mistaken. And the second channel is Afro Millennial Mama, and she is an American who lives in Senegal with her family. So I'll definitely link these channels as well in the description. That way you can also go and check them out. I have to say that one of the many benefits of moving to emerging economies like a lot of different countries in the continent is that you can get better business opportunities. So if you're impact minded and business minded, this is definitely an environment that you should look into. Because in the West, where everything is pretty much built already, the opportunities are fewer and the margins are also smaller. But in emerging economies where there's a greater need for infrastructure or for businesses, then the margins are not only bigger, but the impact is also greater because you can create more jobs and then have a greater impact into the local economy. If for you, soft life is raising a family in a safe environment, then yes, you can definitely do that in Africa. So I'm filming this video in May 2023, and as of the filming of this video, there's been over 200 mass shootings in the US. That's more shootings than days in the year, right? And out of these 200, there's been 23 that were specifically school shootings that resulted in either injuries or death. So not just like scare things, like those ones are not even counting in the 23. Like when somebody brings a gun and then nobody gets injured, those ones are not even part of the 23. So you don't really have to be a parent to be alarmed by those numbers. But as far as me and my family, I'm trying to get my kids as far away as guns as possible. In terms of safety, a close second after gun violence is racism. So we all know that racism is not something specific to the US. You can face racism all around the world. I personally faced racism growing up in Morocco, and this is why it's very important for me and my family to be in an environment where Black people are a majority, because you're less likely to be a victim of racism. Now, I'm not saying that there are not other social problems that you might face, such as classism or even tribalism, but when it comes to racism, that's not something that you're going to have to worry about. For me, soft life is also easy access to fresh organic fruit. And this is not something that is always very accessible here in the US. And that's one of the main reasons why I am really excited about moving to the continent, because you can just go to the open market and have access to fresh and very inexpensive organic food. That includes vegetables, fruits, or even meats. Obviously, I don't have to tell you the health benefits of access to organic food, but when you eat good, you really don't have to take any daily supplements. And fun fact, I think the US is the only country in the world where everybody has to take daily supplement. It's just a crazy thing. It's just something that is not as popular outside of the US because you get all your nutrients through food and nature, and you don't have to take a pill for that. Last but certainly not least, if for you the soft life is about more of a community life than individualistic lifestyle, then living on the continent is definitely something for you. This is something very similar in Asia as well as in Latin America. Family is at the center of everything. So communal life and family life and support of family is very common. Not so much in the West, where societies are more individualistic and where it's really about you, your family, and not the community as a whole. And there's not so much of that support from even strangers who can help you raise your children. So like I said at the beginning of this video, you really have to know what's important for you and what your priorities are, and really what your own definition of a soft life is. Maybe for you it's to be able to live in a big city with great public transportation and all the infrastructure that you would see here in the West, or maybe it's to get away from the stress and the pollution of the big city and to live in the countryside. There's no good or bad option option here. It's just the option that works best for you and your family. If you enjoy this video, you know what to do. Make sure you like it, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss any of my other videos. In the meantime, make sure you watch this video right here where I'll tell you a bit more about why I would consider moving to Paris, France, which is my favorite city in the whole wide world. Until next time, bye.